Hey, what's up everyone, it's Ben, and I want to make a quick video on how to install a full coverage back on an iPhone as well as a full coverage front. I'll be installing the ClearPlex Ultra on the front, and as well on the one that I'm doing here, I'll be installing the ClearPlex Ultra on the back as well. I previously had the ClearPlex Ultra on mine. I really liked it. It was nice because it made that like flat back. It made it glossy, a little bit easier to hold on to, wasn't as slippery, which was really nice. But then I got some of these from Injured Gadgets this morning and decided to put one of the carbon fiber ones on to kind of see how that goes. And once again, installed flawlessly and it looks amazing. So I wanted to show you how to do that on an iPhone 7. I don't have another 7 Plus, but just on another 7. I'm going to be installing the front in this particular video. I did install the front already, and I'm going to be pulling that one off to kind of show you how well it sticks and how hard it is to peel off the corners. Then I'm going to reapply a fresh cut one that I've already cut, and so I'm going to kind of show you how to do that. So here's the 7 that I was working on earlier. I made it in the video. I didn't like how the audio turned out on it, so I'm just going to peel this one off, and that's why I'm making this video, so I can kind of explain everything a little bit better than I did in the first one. But what you'll do if you ever have to remove one of these protectors, which would probably be pretty rare unless it really got buggered up pretty bad, because they are very durable. They heal with a little bit of heat if they get some scratches and things like that in them. I posted some pictures to the ClearPlex community group already about that, and it does a really good job of healing itself when heat's applied. So to get the edge up, you do have to peel. You see here, it's pretty hard to actually peel off, and so that's really good. So unless you have like a fingernail in your pocket that's just right there catching the edge, which nobody does, your edges are probably never going to get peeled up going into the pocket, because like this corner here that's not already peeled up, if I tried to just rub that with my finger, I don't ever think that's going to come off. You actually have to use your fingernail, and then it totally stretch the material and trying to get it off, and so it definitely has a lot of hold. I only did this one like an hour ago, and so even just in an hour, it is like super stuck. So it's pretty cool. So pulled that one off, and it's not reusable, so don't try to put it back on, because you'll be pretty disappointed, because it's all stretched out now because it sticks so well. It's like super hard to get off. So pretty cool stuff. So first step in installing the ClearPlex Ultra on the front, we're going to be doing the full coverage, which the full coverage goes all the way to the edges. So it's a little bit different to apply because it does cover the edges of the bezel, or not the bezel, but like the edges of the chamfer on the screen. So this is going to be showing how to do that. But I have my particular sheet here, and I'll just go ahead and lay this down. We'll kind of prepare this particular sheet first. Okay, cool. So first thing is get some tweezers. That's what we've been using to pull out all the little pieces, but you want to pull out the front camera, the proximity sensor, and then as well the earpiece. So what you'll do is just kind of grab one end of it and just peel it and then pull it off. Where the blade comes back around and meets, sometimes it does grip there. I always start at an opposite end of where it does meet. So like on the camera, just start on the opposite side and then just tug it off, and that way you don't stretch it or anything like that. And we'll get this one. All right, cool. So we are basically ready to install with this piece here. Next is to prepare the phone. So just getting some type of cleaner. We have this cleaner in a bottle there. You'll go ahead and clean the front of the screen. You want to just place it in front of you. I like to place it this way. I turn the phone off as well, because with the phone off, sometimes the sensor will make it turn on, and it's kind of hard to see what you're doing with the screen that's lighting up and turning off on you. So what you'll do is you'll want to apply this liquid to your fingers. So go ahead and give yourself a squirt or two on your fingers, and then using a motion sideways with each spray, hit the phone with about 3 sprays. And this part is actually an important part of handling the ClearPlex protector, in my opinion. You'll get a lot better results if you just take it off in one swift motion. Don't peel on it and work the edges too much. But just go ahead and peel it off just like that, and continue to hold it like this, and then once again give it a couple sprays there. And you'll flip this over, and just lay it down just like that. And at this point you can then move it exactly to where you want it, and you'll just want to center it first. So centering the earpiece fully, centering the button, and don't just make sure that it's like partially over, make sure that it's completely straight. So whenever you look at it, you'll notice that it's completely straight. Any kind of bubbles and things like that, don't worry about those right now. I go ahead and give the top a spray just to keep my squeegees moving. But what you'll do is grab the protector on top, so you're holding it tight, and then just run a line directly down the screen. And what you're doing now is you're adhering just the center part to try to get yourself an anchor for the rest of the application. Because what you'll probably find if you don't do this, then you will start to squeegee out the top, and the bottom will be slightly crooked, and then you'll try to move the bottom over, and then you'll have like a tight spot and a loose spot, and it won't really adhere that well. But if you give yourself a nice center, that will anchor it. So now what you'll do is, working from the center, and I'll put it like this so you can see, working from the center, you want to push outwards. And don't try to squeegee the whole phone. Only just squeegee about a 1/4 inch. Then go back the other way. And you want to make sure you keep your eye on this and this area here, because you don't want it to get off center. And don't be pushing very hard at this point. Push pretty lightly, because once again you'll only have that adhesion in the middle from where you initially touched it with your finger. And then if you start pushing too hard, you may break that adhesion, and then you'll be crooked. So once you get to about this point here, that is usually enough to then start squeegeeing at a more firm level. So once again, working from the middle out, to either side, start to go all the way to the edge and push the liquid out. So go all the way to the edge, all the way to the edge, and just go all the way around. Whenever you're up here at the top, be careful, because if you go this way, you're probably going to catch inside of that hole there. So go all the way to the bottom of the speaker, and then work your way sideways like this. Turn it this way so you can see a little bit better. Work your way sideways like that over top of the speaker, then go back the other way. But this is to prevent you from catching that and like pulling the screen protector off. And then once again, go here. And then basically the main point of this is you want to start from a squeegeed spot out. You never want to try to start in the middle of all this. You never want to do that. So start from the middle, even if it looks squeegeed, start there, and then just go all the way to a non-squeegeed spot. And overlap your squeegee paths about halfway. This is, you will only save just a couple seconds if you try to rush it by trying to give a full squeegee path, and then you're gonna end up with a little more difficulty because you may be catching water bubbles underneath. So even with me just talking here about how to lay this down, we've only just been maybe a minute or something like that. And so once again, working from the center out, you will now have a perfectly squeegeed phone. So since this one is full coverage, there is some key points to the full coverage. So around the edges, you'll still need to get those because they're not fully adhered yet. And that's what you want to do is to kind of speed the process up. You'll want to use a heat gun. That's what I've always used, and it works really well for us. But main thing before you start doing a heat gun is to look at the speaker up here, make sure that it's centered and it's actually focusing on the top of the ceiling. Let's flip the phone over. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we're focused again. You want to make sure that you center the home button, that you're still centered. So whenever we look at it here with the reflection of the light, we see that we're perfectly centered. And if we push that all the way to the top, we see that we're perfectly centered as well. So what you want to do is there is some techniques. You can use your thumb, but you want to use a broad thumb. You don't want to use like your fingernail. I'd say leave the squeegees out at this point because you're on the edges. You've already gotten all the water out. And so now you're going to want to just use your thumb and push out any excess liquid. You know, so go from the center of the screen and drag down. You don't want to be like running sideways because that will be really bad for it. So just kind of pull this way. And this will prevent any bubbles from getting in it. So you may need to start using a little bit of heat. And actually I pulled it up right there. I was looking at wasn't looking at my phone there. Okay, so here we go. All right, so what you want to do is make sure that the edges are adhered down. You don't want to slide your finger sideways. That will push it up a little bit. I do use a heat gun. It speeds up the process. If you leave the phone for a few minutes, you can then push them down. But what works pretty good is to heat it up just on the edge just a little bit. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but just heat up on the edge just a little bit. And actually don't heat it up on this mat. That mat curls up pretty quick. You want to just push down and make sure that you're using this motion here. So now, if we look at the edge, where are we at? Let's see if I can get this, see the edge is like perfect. So I still have to work on the other corner, but just grab it, hit it with the heat gun once again. If you are trying to adhere the edges right after you have installed it, what you're probably going to fight most is just excess water that's just on the edge. So if you leave it for maybe a minute or two, that will dry. If you hit it with a heat gun, it will evaporate it a little bit quicker. But either way, that's just kind of what is happening, and that's kind of why it may not be sticking if you are having issues. So once again, working from the middle out. So you want to be going from the middle out. Basically, the main thing that you want to avoid is working an edge too hard, and then you start to mar it up and you start to twist it around, and it doesn't want to stick very well. The main thing is to use large flowing motions. So whether it's from the middle where you've made that initial line and then you start to squeegee just a little bit out until you get more adhesion, and then start to work the edges. Then after that, then at the final edge, then of course drag from the middle on out and roll your hand down around the edge. That will help to adhere all of the corners and to make sure that you don't get any wrinkles or any stretched spots. So here we go. We are completely adhered down, and it looks really, really good. And so I don't think this one's going to have any issues, any slight imperfection. If you can kind of see at the top on mine, where's the light there? There we go. It has kind of a little bit of wrinkle that will, smooth out. It will have like a little bit of like a natural, almost like a skin look, I guess. Yeah, but that's pretty normal. But that's kind of how you do the edges. I'm going to show you another video on how to do the back. It is a little more difficult because you have more than just a little chamfered edge to deal with, but it's easy in itself as well. But hopefully you found this useful, and you can start installing these perfectly each time and without hassle, and that way you can do it quickly and make some money and make customers happy while doing it. But I hope you all found this useful, and if you have any questions, let me know, and if you need any clarification, let me know as well, and we'll get it all figured out. Thanks.